Mav's Coffee Clarity with Denise is brought to you in partnership with Drive Media and Consulting and their premier sponsors. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms and share. If you just found us, welcome. And if you're a regular, welcome back. Denise DiGrigoli has spent her life in the creative industries as an entrepreneur, helping people transform their visions into thriving businesses, working with individuals and teams to find their purpose and live their life vibrantly. On her pod, Denise delivers business intel and life hacks with wit and wisdom in short shots like a strong espresso with a solid sense of humor. Enjoy this episode of Mav's Coffee Clarity, and here's Mav.
Everybody that I've been coaching lately, no matter what the generation, is complaining. Nobody calls me back. Nobody responds to my email. I applied for 5 bazillion jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, and wherever else, and no one's getting back to me. So I thought to myself, this is challenging, right? Even for me, like when I want someone to call me back. So I started to think about this when my daughter said, you know what, Mom, you and Dad are doing blah, blah, blah in your business, and it seems so easy. And I was like, yeah, all right. It's so easy. I'm at level 5, all right, approaching level 6. And I plan on going to a level 10, which is 100. You're at level 2, maybe 2.2. So I thought, if I think about life in levels, is what I said to my daughter, there's a certain amount of perspective that comes with each level, right? There's things that you garner in level 1. Let's think life from 0 to 10. You're exploring, you're learning, you're inviting new things in, and you move to level 2 and you let certain things go, like your Chuchi bottle, right? Or your training wheels. Level 2, you're in that, tech savvy mode. You've got a lot of gusto, but you're rewriting purpose on your own terms, at least in your generation. We're in your, level 3, level 4, you might be starting a family, you might be acquiring, you're in career growth, your priorities change, right? Level 4, level 5 and 6, it's a whole different ball game if you've been steadily progressing. So I try to explain this to my daughter and other people that I work with. First of all, and it doesn't mean that any level is better than any other level. I'm a real big proponent of generational, multi-generational living, humanity, and workforce. You can really just think about the talent you bring together when you bring together a level 2 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6, right? There's a whole lot of knowledge there. There's a whole lot of perception. There's a whole lot of brainstorming. So if you can sift through and learn from each other, all the better. Why aren't people calling you back? Well, I thought, here's the thing. And I see it in my clients, and I gently try to express, follow up my friends. For us level 5s and 6s, follow-up is key. It's where the rubber meets the pavement. And I don't mean follow-up in 48 hours or 4 days. I mean respond immediately, as in like less than 12 or 24 hours, depending on the circumstance. I'll give you an example. When Troy and I had started our business and we were in fine art, we had a client that needed corporate art, and he really didn't want prints. He wanted fine art, originals that represented his theme. And at that time, we had galleries and whatnot, and his architect was not phoning him back because it was holiday. Specifically, it was the Christmas holiday. And even though I certainly observe holidays in special ways, he asked me if I could meet him on the morning of the 24th. I happened to be in town. I happen to be available, and I said yes. So there's a little adage to the early bird gets the worm when you can, but there's also this thing about genuinely following up. And I think sometimes our level 2s and some level 3s, because of that immediate gratification, I see this all the time in the people I coach in sales. Well, they don't really have a need right now. They don't really need me. So yeah, no, there's nothing there for me. I see that too in job interviews. They don't have an immediate job that suits my, nothing. It doesn't matter. Follow up now, level 2s, level 3s, because you never know when that door is going to open at level 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Life is about living and about connecting. And when we get too transactional or we treat it like a single-use plastic baggie, that's when it, I'm sorry, it goes to hell in a handbag. Sustainability is so important right now. Repurposing, being mindful of the environment. Well, we need to think about that when we kind of interact with other people. What's really important, I think, that I'm seeing in level 2, no names will be mentioned, is I understand immediate gratification. I understand, we get more information in a millisecond than we did in the early 1900s with Paul Revere bringing the postal mail across the country. Doesn't matter. Because you don't have immediate gratification and a scroll and a flip and a scroll and a flip. It's authentic connection that matters. So I said to my daughter, listen, I'm sorry, you're at level 2.2. There's a wealth of experience out there for you to gain and to learn and kind of go through. And I'm not saying level 6 has privilege, because that's not it at all. We still have to work. We still have to participate in life. We still have to be part of whatever creative, intentional pursuits we're into to keep making a living and, frankly, to keep living, right? So I said, there's nothing to feel bad about that you aren't making the same income I am, or maybe have the same amount of free time I have, or you're not closing sales as fast as you'd like to. It's about your intention and your energy. So what I say to some of the people that I coach, well, okay, maybe it's not for them today. If it's, if you're selling them eggs and they never need eggs, okay, that maybe is a hard no. But if you're selling them programs that might benefit them and their business one way or another, maybe shift perspectives and be a little more forthcoming in your offerings. Have a longer conversation. Actually, 2 ears, one mouth for a reason. Listen, ask questions, and take it in. Listen, not to answer before they're done talking, but to listen and really try to be creative in your answers. And also, I often tell many clients, put your best foot forward and let go of the attachment. We all want that outcome. We see it, and we want the shiny marbles that person has, or the fancy car, or the fancy this. My grandmother used to say, yeah, I got to manage that too. So it's not that I don't want you to have great things or be a great person. When you say people aren't calling me back, I would say, what energy did you put into it? Now, yeah, shooting millions of resumes into the dark hole of LinkedIn may not work for you. What I would say is, let's be intentional about our time and our energy. Let's see what the opportunity is. Do you know someone else at that company? Could you look on LinkedIn? Do you have a friend that works there, a distant friend, a friend of a friend? Could you learn more about it? Could you pick up the phone and call HR and leave a nice message? Could you try different people in the organization? Not maybe just do the auto send my resume in. There's different ways to be seen and heard. Sometimes it's going to work. I've had level 2 young college graduates get immediate jobs off Handshake. I've had other people tell me, Handshake's no good. So I am a person that if you tell me something negative about something, I will probably try to research it if I don't already know it and give you 3 other examples or something positive about the thing you're telling me. So I think Handshake is good. Do I think there's, limitations of all these online platforms where you can submit your resume? Of course. You know what works, my friends? It's face-to-face contact. It's having a connection that you value and they value you. So they might want to recommend you, or they might want to walk you through your organization. And I don't care if you're level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going through some transformation, whether it's a brand new career, maybe you're going through an unfortunate divorce or a fortunate divorce, depending on how you look at it, and you're in a career transition, you still need connection. So why aren't they calling you back? It's the quality of the energy you put into the connection. Now, if you know that maybe it's not going anywhere, okay, so let it go and move on to something that is going somewhere. How do you do that? Well, if I meet somebody new, I try to follow up with a nice email or phone call, depending on the circumstance, if they've given me their cell phone or their phone number, and just say, great to meet you. I loved what you contributed to your company or to this project or to what you said. And, I'd love to share a little bit more about myself. Could we get on a virtual coffee, or could we meet for coffee? Or could I just send you some of my information? Start in a follow-up dialogue. Don't go for the gusto and be like, you don't have a job for me? Okay, thanks. No, thanks. It was terrible meeting you. And believe it or not, I do get some of that in my consulting. It's if you meet somebody, first of all, it's different meeting people now, I would say, in some respects post-COVID. We're getting back out there. We're networking. People don't like networking in general. They kind of shy away from it. It's awkward. It doesn't have to be awkward if you take full interest in the person you're speaking to. You might not have anything in common, but you might learn something. Like, I'm not a real gardener. I want to be a gardener. I want to believe I have a green thumb, but I don't. I just don't have a green thumb. And I was at a networking meeting the other day when someone was telling me about how to repurpose their bulbs, particularly their canna plants that are like tropical plants that grow in New England, but you have to pull them out of the ground and dry them out in newspaper and put them away for a season. Sounds like a lot of work to me, right? But I never knew how to do it. And I learned something new, so I started asking more questions. How did you know about that? Who taught you that? Does it always work? Do they grow back as big? Do they grow back as strong? I took an interest in what the person was saying. And then the person started giving me more information. And eventually it came around to, so what do you do? I said, I work in strategic communications, and I have a podcast called Mav's Coffee Clarity, where I bring on maverick minds. I love to share stories of creativity, grit, transformation, and even your story about the canna plant. I mean, people need to know these things. You're a little bit of a maverick in your own right. So the person said, you know what? My husband has a company, and their marketing person just left, and they have a need for a strategist. Maybe you could speak to him. Do I know if it'll turn into anything? I don't. But I'm going to talk to that person, and I'm going to take genuine interest, because it might not work out at level 5, but at level 7 it may work out, or it may work out for someone else I know at level 2, 3, or 4 that I coach that could use a position in marketing. I don't know. But if we don't have conversations with people and we just hit scroll and like and little random emoji comments, what is that doing? It's dumbing down the three-dimensionality of the people we are. Listen, I love talking to you online. I love better talking to you in person. I love sharing wisdom and things that I learn along the way with my clients. I love better being out in public and feeling the energy in the room and enjoying time with people, maybe good food, maybe music, maybe a creative pursuit, maybe yoga. So yeah, I think, listen, technology is really important, and it keeps us connected globally. It keeps us connected with family that we can't be there when we want to be there. So I'm not poo-pooing technology or any generation that uses it more than other generations. I do believe whether you're at level 2, 3, 4, or 5, you have a perspective, and you allow things in as you grow. Just think about going from kindergarten to 12th grade. You graduate and you leave things behind in each grade. In each decade of your life, you've got so many experiences rich with trials and tribulations. I mean, you grow out of those, right? And you have so much to share. Well, when someone's not calling you back, I would venture to say not enough sharing going on. Now, there's also the other side of that, too much sharing. TMI. You see a lot of TMI online right now, and some people would call it fake news, too much news, TMI. I think sharing with I can't talk because you know what? I came home today late from various client meetings, and I normally don't podcast at night. But I had it on my list to do. I was off by a day, so you can see if you're watching me on YouTube, you see it's dark outside, right? And I said, I have to keep my commitment to myself, because that also helps my energy when I keep my commitment to myself. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to run myself ragged, but once in a while I'm going to stretch it for sure. Anyways, authenticity is what I wanted to say. I think you have to show up authentic, purposeful, intentional, and be in service to others. And when you share and you take a genuine interest in someone, what they have to say and share, even if you don't believe it. I'm not talking about changing your political or spiritual beliefs or any of that. I'm just saying genuinely be interested. And me, I don't like to be judgmental. So if I'm in a conversation with you and you say something to me that I don't align with, I'm not going to say, well, you should do this or you should do that. If you've listened to my podcast, you know the one thing I say a lot is I don't should on you, don't should on me. But I am interested in what you have to say. So if people aren't returning your phone call, either you're not deeply connected to them and you are going into the dark vortex, or you're not sharing mutually, or you've got the wrong connections. Most of the things that help us in growth are our mentors, the people we spend time with. You know, whether you're in music graduating from Suzuki School of this level to that level, or you're in karate from this level to that level, or yoga from this level to that. Everything has levels, and it comes from practice. It comes from purposeful intention, right? You're engaged. So if people aren't calling you back, I would say, okay, we need to switch it up a little bit. How are you connecting with people? And are you talking to your connections about that job you need? And are you following up? And not following up because someone told you to, or maybe you should, following up with intention. And even the smallest note of gratitude. I'm very thankful recently the Berkshire Edge covered me in Monday Business Spotlight. And it was humbling, you know, to have someone write an article about your lifelong work. And the one thing I do say in that article is I grew up in family business with my grandmother from the time I was 9 to 11. I'm not 9 to 11. Again, it's late, my friends. From the time I was 9 till I went off to college. And she would always say the two greatest words you can say are thank you. Whether for the greatest of things that happen to you or the not great things, kind of see the meaning, the message, and say thank you and move on. It's sort of learning. So that's kind of energy you're giving out to yourself and others, and be genuinely interested in service to others. So when people feel like you're communicating with them and you don't necessarily want something from them, you know, the tension or that friction of that new meeting and networking goes down. Like, oh, this person is interested in what I have to say, because most people aren't. And there you start to build a little bond. But you have to do it with real authenticity. And so if people aren't calling you back, instead of complaining about it, look at how you approach things. Look at the energy you put into things, and then mindfully go after the things you want. And then, you know, for example, I pitched a new rather large client recently. I haven't heard back yet. I put my best intention in. I exercised some of the contacts that know me very well, and I haven't heard back. So you could, you know, go down that rabbit hole. They don't like me. They don't like what I have to say, or they're not interested. It could be that they're too busy. It could be that things have changed, budgets have changed, ideas have changed, leadership. You don't know. Can't take it personally. So I let go of the attachment, and I kept doing all the things that I do for the clients that I am engaged with. And you know what? That's why I'm home late. Because I was having fun today, working on some projects, talking to people, and I'm most grateful. And every day, I try to stay in that mindset of gratitude and how I can be in service to others and listen. 2 ears, one. People will call you back. Of course they're going to call you back. They want to talk to you. You matter. You matter. If you're listening to a podcast, you're into personal development, you're into lifelong learning, you're into just being a good human being, you matter. People will call you back. You've got to talk to the people that matter to you and make those connections. I hope that I'm making a little bit of sense here and clarity. So I kind of made a joke with my daughter. I was like, hey, if you're at level 2.2, you got a lot of room to grow. But in the meantime, do not give up and don't make any assumptions. Put your best interest out there, and not only your best foot forward. Be the person that listens and asks the good questions, and the person that shows up and says, hey, you matter. I'm interested in what you have to say. And thank you so much for that tip on the Canva. Now I don't need to buy new plants next year, and they were expensive. I'm going to try to regrow them. All right, peace out, my friends. We have a whole new lineup of incredible mavericks coming this fall after Labor Day. I'm wishing you a star-studded end of the summer. Know that I'm so thankful that you join in here. We have the stats that most of you listen to the end, you like and share, and you comment. And for that, I cannot be more humbled, grateful, and happy. Peace out again, my friends. I'll see you on the pod, and I hope to see you in person.